I'm 52 now, and here is why I avoid many people. And I have no regrets. You know, when I was young, in my 20s, and as a teenager, we have friendships. Friendships are more meaningful. We all want to belong. We all want to have somebody that we can call our friend, that we can talk to, or that we can hang out with. And I think that was just a beautiful time. And when we got to our 30s, and that's when I had some more meaningful friends and I trusted people. And personally, I wore my heart on my sleeve. I told my friends everything about me, and they knew everything. And I just wanted to be part of, a group of people. And I think at that time in my 30s, that's when I started to see people from Zimbabwe that were coming into the country. So it was a novelty. It was lovely when you saw a group, when you saw more, you got very excited. So, you started to hang out, you started to do stuff with people. And for me, again, like I said, I was a people pleaser. I wore my heart on my sleeve. I told my friends everything about me, how I felt, and, in just life. So you open up a lot, and that time there's a lot of innocence. Then in my mid 30s, I started to see a lot more people. At that point, I was going to, different churches and part of a community, and you sort of go into the church because your soul and your spirit has been drained in this country, and you haven't seen many people that you could relate to. Then finally, there's a church in your local area, and then you sort of start to hang out there. But at that point, you've got a whole load that you're carrying, loads of trauma from the challenges that you've passed through in this life. And, you get into the church and you're in your mid 30s, you're single, and you simply do not fit in. And people do not welcome you as you wished. They are a bit guarded. They take you, but very little, but with caution. And you never quite belong. I think that it can be quite challenging. And I think this is something that most people don't even want to talk about, or don't talk about at all, about some of the challenges that people meet in places of worship, especially single women. It's a very difficult time, and I often spoke to some people that were in my situation, and I think, we all shared the same feeling, or we all felt the same way. I mean, yes, I know they do say that churches are hospitals for people who are spiritually unwell. Oh boy, I think if you're not careful, you can be broken. If you wear your heart too much on your sleeve, don't have too many expectations, because, there are some sick people in the church that it can be toxic in some instances. And I actually feel sorry for a lot of pastors who manage these churches, because, they get to be the counselors, the fathers, they get to counsel these people and spend a lot of time with people. That's why I know now when they say pray for your pastors, I really do feel that sometimes, don't have too many expectations, because people are people wherever you go into this world. And you can often find yourself losing your confidence. And when I got into my mid 40s, and then I was a little bit more mature, and at that point in life, I had gotten to understand that human beings were one of the most complex thing, I think, or even just loving human beings, and people are just complex. And, you start to then have your heart being broken. You start to really understand a little bit about what's happening, because, if you go through life thinking that everybody is going to be nice because you're nice, just because you love people, just because you like people, and you wear your heart on your sleeve, it doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to be like that. So, go into the world knowing that people are different. People can be quite nice, and they can be horrible. And people can dislike you just because. People can dislike you just because they don't like you, or just because they don't like your potential sometimes. Or sometimes you could be all walking together in a lane, and life just takes you a little bit ahead of somebody that is a friend or a colleague or whatever, and you can end up being disliked by those people. And it's one thing that we are not taught growing up. I think in certain cultures, you're told that, they don't even talk about it. You're told about the nice things. Maybe back in the day, people were nice. Maybe in the days when we didn't have social media, everything was nice and beautiful, was nice and fluffy. But I just feel that as you get older, you start to understand certain things, you start to see things differently, and you start to see people for who they really are. You start to have more discerning spirit. And I know some people get it in their 30s, but I didn't. I certainly struggled a lot way into my 40s, where I was really struggling with people. One thing that I also learned is that people change with time. And don't expect, like I said, if you like people or if you love people, if you do good for people, don't expect them to actually do the same for you. When you do it unconditionally. That's one thing that I've learned. And I also understand that, when the Bible said, thou shalt not covet, I think one of the things that we go through life as we get older is jealousy, is another, big factor to the way that people behave. If somebody just doesn't like, or they're competing with you secretly, or if they feel that they've always been better than you and you do something a little bit better than them. In life, there are seasons to grow, there are seasons to, get things. And if people don't understand their seasons, they can, focus on another person. And it happens in workplaces a lot, where there's a lot of jealousy. There are people that just pick on other people for no apparent reason, just because somebody performs better, somebody, speaks a certain way, or they just feel that somebody reminds them of something of their past or what they didn't achieve. So it's another big factor in life. And that's something that can be a shock, because people project it differently through hate, through forming connections with others because they have that in common, which is hating another, or which is talking about another person. And some people go around recruiting others because they don't like you, so they don't want to do it on their own, so they'll go and recruit other people. And that makes life all too complex. And when I learned it and I discovered this, now that I'm in my 50s, I then had to really start moving away from people and spending a lot more time away. And, with my husband, especially when I go to Wales, I'm just peaceful. I find peace in just the simple things now, in just meeting, some people that you don't even know very well, meaningful connections, just doing stuff together there, no strings attached. And nobody is going to really make a big fuss about you or worry about your life. And I think I started to find that I've flourished a lot more as I've moved away from the crowds, from a lot of people. And I just make decisions based on what I'm thinking at the time. And I just run them through my husband, and I just do what I need to do. And it's just unfortunate that the young people that are growing up, that trust a lot and trust in friendships, unfortunately, they're overrated. That's the way that I look at it. They're overrated. People can change, people evolve, people can, just wake up one morning and you say something or you do something. It doesn't matter what you did for them. They will just choose to dislike you. And it may be that they never really liked you, but that's just the way life is. So the love is gone now. The love that I feel that I was raised in, or that my parents taught me, it's gone. And I think my wisdom, or as I've gotten older, I've gotten a lot more wisdom to understand that life is complex, people are complex. And so sometimes we end up changing ourselves so that we can fit in and be liked by everyone. That just doesn't work, because some people, they will not like you no matter what you do. And I also learned something from a book that I read previously that, if somebody doesn't have love, how can they give it? And so some people just will never give what they don't have. And so that's why I enjoy my own company a lot. And I like to go out into the countryside. I like to spend time in our home in Wales, and I've built new connections there, like-minded people, same age, and we just connect, we do things, we have get-togethers, and we just enjoy, and I just see some of the sincerity in them. But like I said, there's no strings attached. We do what we have to do, and I'm a lot happier. I'm a lot lighter, and I'm living life in my own terms. And I belong to a church, and the people are lovely, and I don't have a lot of connections with people. Yes, sometimes we meet up for dinner, for meals, but I tend to just like my own company, And I remember a colleague asking me in my previous job that, how come you don't come out on the work outings? And there were functions here, there, people were going, buying tickets. I feel like all those things, I've gone past them. Yes, I enjoy a nice holiday. Yes, I enjoy finer things in life here and there. But I would sooner do it in my own company with my husband, Starbucks, coffee, and just go and sit somewhere and just watch the water, watch the seaside. And I find that to be very, very priceless. And the last 15 years of my life, I think I've achieved a lot more. And I've been doing what I've done quite solo. And I just, yeah, I've no regrets whatsoever, because like I said, people can change with the twinkle of an eye. You could be walking together and something happens and they turn on you. So when you walk alone, you're free. Honestly, the freedom is unbelievable. But like I said, I have a few meaningful connections here and there, and I enjoy spending short periods of time with them. And I just love my own company and my husband's company. Yeah, so let me know in the comment section, what are your thoughts? Where are you at, in your life? Do you agree with what I've said, or how do you feel about it? Do you have a lot of friends? Do you have, a lot of people around you? I mean, it may work for some people, but for me, I'm quite happy in my 50s, walking almost alone, with a few people around me, and I really enjoy it. But if you've watched this and resonated with it, let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much for tuning in, for watching and sharing. I'm Shelley here. Until the next video, thank you.